Okay, Mario once again, and this is going to be another project. I just got done with my go-karts, but in the process, I've been trying to get this resolved. Also, I have a pool here, as you can see. It's an L-shaped pool. It's a fairly large pool, and I need to figure out a way to do the filter here. And I really want to take this project upon myself, to do that. I don't want to buy a filter. I mean, my filter tank is fine. I just put a new motor, new pump. So this is my new pump that had a company come in and install this. They installed that already. He actually bypassed this this setup here. I'm going to replace that and clean that up, because the way he did this, I don't know. I think he ended up breaking this piece right here, this case. I don't mind because it's an old piece, but I am going to rewire that and do it. This right now is just directly connected to this switch right here. So when this is on, the pump, it can go on automatically via the settings on the on this cover here. So it's labeled jacuzzi, but after some research, I found out that you could use these pumps also for pools. It's the proper size, I believe, for the amount of water that we have here and all the lines and sizing. So it's a lot more powerful than what I had before. I had a much smaller, not much smaller, but I think it was like a half a horsepower or 1 horsepower under, and so I always had to spend a lot more time filtering the pool. This is my filter here, and it's a tank that holds 500 pounds of sand. I removed the interior so that I can figure out a way to bypass all that complexity there. Once again, I'm dealing with complexities, which is something that I don't mind. I like resolving problems. That's just my nature. I like to, if I can make it better, great. So this is my filter tank, and it's in good shape. It's just a little dirty from all the stuff, the filter material that I had, the filter media that I had there before I took it out, because it got embedded with some algae. So I just took it out, and I'm about to redo this. Now this is labeled a sand filter, but if you understand the process of filtering, it doesn't matter what you use, provided you do it properly. So I'm about to explain what I'm going to do here. What I had here before is sand originally, and the first time we had this installed by Hayward, Hayward people, they came, they installed the innards of this component here, and then when they put the sand, I believe you're supposed to fill this with water so that it protects these umbrella laterals. They're called umbrella laterals. It's these tubes that stick out, that kind of fold. They pivot on this ball, and they go in straight, and then they pivot out. So they extend. So it's like a spider. That basically just a mesh, a tubular mesh that allows the water to return back to the pool, while preventing any sand getting back. And so that's why it's slotted, very finely slotted, so that allows the water to go in and not the sand. That's all it is. I'll show that in a minute. And so that was done with sand. When I had to do this in previous years, when I opened it up and removed the sand, first of all, it was a lot of work removing the sand. We're talking about 500 pounds of sand that needs to be removed out of here. And so, and in the process of doing that, I noticed that elbow that is connected to the side of this connector here, one is an incoming line, and the other one is a return to the pool that goes through this 5-way valve. It also has a waste out. When I removed those pieces, I noticed that it was cracked, and perhaps that's one of the reasons why this pool had a hard time filtering my pool. And I used to wonder, this is a brand new system, and it has a hard time filtering. So it was because that elbow that connects to that spider was broken. The elbow was broken. So when I took the sand out and I was about to replace the sand, I decided to fix that elbow, and I'll show you what I did in a little while. And instead of using sand, I decided to use polyfill. I read and I saw some videos of people using polyfill, and that was actually my first common sense thought. It was like, what can I use instead of sand? But well, filter material is any mesh. If you look at the air conditioning material, they use that fiberglass fabric. And polyfill is polypropylene, polyethylene fiber that's used for pillows and things. I use that a lot, to fill my radio control model pilots, to do the bodies, because it's soft and squishy, and it's super lightweight, easy to work with too. So I decided to fill this with polyfill, and it worked. It works until the polyfill is saturated with debris. And in here in Arizona, we tend to get a lot of algae here, and we have to kind of trying to maintain proper balance, in order not to get algae. But sometimes that's just unavoidable. And so this was saturated with algae. I took that out once again. It's been a few years since I did my last change, and I actually was considering going back to sand. And then when I got the sand from the same company that sold me this, I decided, I was reading the safety data sheets, and I go, oh my God, it's pretty risky, because they want you to use a specific breather equipment, so that you don't get any of that dust in your lungs. That's nasty stuff. It causes cancer, although a lot of things cause cancer, but that's, if I can just avoid that. And so I decided, man, I should have just started and not ordered the sand, just go with the polyfill again. Maybe a different setup here. So I've been thinking about this quite a bit on how to do this tank, and this can be alien. When we look at these things, these components here, for somebody that doesn't know or doesn't want to take the time to think about these things from a logical perspective, it can be very alien. It can be very very intimidating. It's like, oh my God, all these things that are there. You don't know what they're for, but the key is understanding how a filter works. And once you understand how a filter works, then you can bypass that, and you can do your own thing even. And that's what I'm planning on doing here. I'm planning on doing my own thing, because I just don't want to go with the norm. The norm is everybody does sand or cartridge filters. There was another company that was trying to sell me cartridge filters and remove this right here. Everybody wants to make money. Everybody wants to get rich out of things that people really don't need. This is perfectly fine. This solid container here. There's nothing wrong with this container. And so I'm just going to redo the innards of this, taking into account the main thing here in a filter. This is what filters the water. You need an inline and an outline. Understand that. That's all you need to understand about this setup here. In and out. You need to bring in water here. The pump, this brand new pump, will just find the water in, and it will return it through pressure, because this is all pressurized. So it'll return it back. And so that water that comes in here needs to go through some kind of a filter system here. It could be sand. In this case, they fill this with sand. And all those parts that I said, all that spider is doing is preventing the sand from getting back into the pool through those little slots that those fingers or extenders or umbrella-shaped spider legs have. And that's all it's doing. But when you go and replace those parts, they charge you an arm and a leg. You're spending, $100, $200, $300, close to $500 in innards, in just PVC piping. Just to do what? What is that exactly doing? And so, understanding that and understanding that and the way that a filter works, will help you bypass, all those costs and just do your own thing, which is what I'm planning on doing here, and I plan on showing that in videos here. So I have already pulled this apart, because I am going to replace those connections here. I already ordered the O-rings. The other thing is O-rings. If you order O-rings from any pool supply company, they're going to charge you $5 for one ring. $5 for a rubber ring, which is crazy. I bought from Amazon. I bought, actually, I found the same rings, the same size. I bought 5, I think, for $5. So that's more like it. So just this video is about that. Just be aware that you have options here. This is the sand that you typically use in something like that, but I decided not to use that, so I had to return that. They're going to give me credit. I already checked with the manager of the store, and he said, yeah, no problem, bring it back. These are the parts, the innards of that filter. And like I said, this can be overwhelming. It can be intimidating for anybody that doesn't understand how a system like this works. You look at these parts and you go, oh my God, I got to get the exact same thing. Where am I going to get these parts? Oh my God, I need to replace the same thing. You really don't need to replace the same thing. If you understand how these things work, you can make these things out of PVC tubing. And that's exactly what I'm about to do here. This part right here broke from here, from these ball sockets. These ball sockets are nothing more than just a pivot point for these things to go in straight like that, and then they fold like that downward. And all these things are doing is preventing the sand, because this is designed for sand, preventing the sand pebbles from getting into the return line, and just allowing the water through these slots to go back into the return outlet of the filter tank. That's all that's doing right there. It's not intimidating. It's nothing out of this world. These pipes, one is bringing water in, the other is returning water out. This is the pipe that attaches to this spider assembly here via this elbow right here. And this was broken. I believe, by Hayward people when they installed the sand. They probably didn't have the water on these, well, not so much water, but I think when they were pouring the sand, because sand is heavy, they probably put too much pressure here, and that developed a crack. And when I try to replace this was at the time that I tried to replace this was over $150 just for this pipe right here alone, $150. So I decided, you know what, the hell with that. I'm going to go in and just find an elbow, just a PVC elbow. Unfortunately, the elbow, the typical elbows that you find at the hardware store, will not work with this, because these things are done with proprietary sizings or measurements, so that people don't do exactly what I wanted to do here. So I said, the hell with that. I'll just get a rubber one, or I can just extend it and fit it with it, and that's how I did the setup. So it's working just fine. Just got to make sure that these things are nice and tight, so that this doesn't come loose with the pressure. And it's been working just fine. The other pipes are fine. They just need seals right here. This is this they call a what is this called? Diverter. I think they call it diverter. And it's got an additional tube here, and this just to I believe introduce a little bit of air into the flow of the return line from the top here, because this is where the water comes in from the top tube. The inlet side of the filter comes in, it fills with water. The water comes up through this tube right here, because one of these elbows is facing up, so it brings the water up and distributes through here. I think this is called a diverter or diffuser. So it's diffusing the water evenly over the circular section inside of the tank. That's all that's doing. And so these parts are also very expensive, when you go buy these things. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to maintain the same elbows, but I'm going to do a little bit different this setup here. I don't want to use this anymore. I'm going to make my own return outlet, if you will, because that's all this is. It's coming. It takes the water from the top, goes through the filter media, which I'm going to use polyfill mixed with. I'm going to show a diagram how I plan on doing this. So it's going to go through my filter walls and return through something like this. But I'm going to make my own with regular PVC tubing, so that in the future, if I need to replace that, it's not going to be $100, $200 for these things are about $10 a piece, which is crazy. You can buy PVC tubing, slide it, or drill holes. If you were to use sand, just make sure that the holes are smaller than the sand resolution or diameter, Or if you don't use sand, you don't need this. You really don't need this. All you need is just a filter at the bottom here, just a mesh, to prevent any debris, if there is any in the filter tank, to go back. So that's what I'm going to do in my next video. I will show that. My video is dying here. Okay, stay tuned for part 2 of this video segment.